Chapter 2291, Fang Yuan's Admiration Toward Star Constellation. Chapter 2291, Fang Yuan's Admiration Toward Star Constellation. During this period of time, how many Gu masters went through immortal ascension in sovereign immortal aperture? Golden Fur Immortal Monarch, Hair Monster Grotto Lord, Lightning Lion Warrior, Dharma Lion Warrior, Solid Rock Warrior, Steel Rush Warrior, Frost Butterfly Warrior, and Chong, Yi Crossing Heaven Immortal Monarch, Black Locust Rainbow Rock Immortal Concubine, Great Wisdom Immortal Mother, Bing Yuan, Bing Zhua, Ice Crystal Immortal Monarch, Shizong, Kuexin Hong, the Six Eggman. Of Rotten Egg Grotto Heaven, Xiao He Jian, Green Forest Great Sage, and now, Gu Yue Fang Xiang. Most of the Gu immortals who died in Crazed Demon Cave were already revived. This was excluding those who died during the chaotic disaster. But Fang Yuan did not revive them as Gu immortals, he only gave them Gu master cultivation level. One was to save resources and prevent human C from getting expended, the other reason was for this opportunity. Fang Yuan had always had a broad vision, he was also skilled at creating plans. But in the past, his plans were often unable to keep up with changes. Now, he had rank 9 cultivation level, he was a refinement path venerable. With the destruction of Fate Gu, there were few things in the world that could disrupt his plans. Fang Yuan had purposely made accumulations in the past. Now, during this trend of immortal ascension, he benefited immensely. In just a few months, in just sovereign immortal aperture alone, more than 30 Gu masters went through immortal ascension, this was excluding Fang Yuan's subordinate super forces in Eastern Sea and the Two Heavens. Wu Clan, who was extremely famous now, could not compare with such results. But Fang Yuan concealed them all, not a single bit of information was leaked. As for the benefits of immortal ascension, only a very small portion was for those who became rank 6 Gu immortals, the bulk of the gains went to Fang Yuan through stealing heavenly secret. This was something that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and Giant Sun Immortal Venerable could not dream of obtaining. The truth was, even Fang Yuan did not think that his gains would be so huge. He obtained a large number of killer moves, Gu recipes, immortal Gu houses, immortal formations, blueprints to construct battlefield killer moves, countless ways to cultivate resources, as well as the most comprehensive map of the current 5 regions, and the location of various wild immortal Gu. After satisfying his needs, he looked into human path, pill path, painting path, star path, luck path, and others. The outcome was extremely surprising to Fang Yuan, he was pleasantly stunned. He had only given it a test, but he obtained Musician Immortal Gu's recipe, Thief Immortal Gu's recipe, Soldier Immortal Gu's recipe, Sergeant Immortal Gu's recipe, and others. He even obtained a vast number of Pill Path and Painting Path Immortal Gu recipes. He also gained various profundities of Luck Path, Star Path, and Soul Path that were very useful to him. Now that Fang Yuan recalled it, the human path gains shocked him the most. To think that human path has already developed to this extent in the current world. Fang Yuan did not know of the existence of the derivation formation, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had hidden it too well. However, the root issue was with the derivation formation. The core of the derivation formation was rank 9 derivation Gu, it was not refined by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, so it was still a wild immortal Gu. It was not that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not want to refine it, but it could only be used in this situation as a wild Gu. Once derivation Gu was refined by a person, it would become useless. Limitless Demon Venerable had given it a try, thus, the Crazed Demon formation still used a wild rank 9 derivation Gu as the core. However, the innermost layers of Crazed Demon Cave were isolated from the main world, thus, it did not matter if derivation Gu was wild or not. This was not the case for Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court had devoured too many 9 heavens fragments, it was full of heaven's will and was the largest heaven vein node in the 2 heavens. When the 2 heavens were fusing, Heavenly Court had to mobilize all their rank 8 experts and immortal Gu houses to survive the ordeal. In the end, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable personally took action after refining all of Heavenly Court's wisdom path Dao marks. She stabilized the situation and prevented Spectral Soul Demon Venerable from finding them. The current derivation formation was situated inside Heavenly Court, it was observable by Heaven's will. Star constellation Immortal Venerable could not stop that as long as it was inside Heavenly Court. Heaven's will was one of the foundations of Heavenly Court itself. Other than Heavenly Court, where else could she safely put the derivation formation? Nowhere. At least, nowhere in Central Continent. Thus, everything within the derivation formation was also known by Heaven and Earth. This was a major flaw that star constellation Immortal Venerable knew. But it did not matter. Or rather, in her perspective, it did not matter. The reason? Heaven's will did not like any of the Venerables now. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had revived. How could Heaven's will allow people to revive? Fang Yuan was even worse. He was a complete otherworldly demon, one of the main culprits who destroyed Fate Gu. Only Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was more favored by Heaven's will. But he had lost his senses. Even if he wanted to target Heavenly Court, with the doors shut tight, he could not find his way in. Even if he entered, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had the amplification of Heavenly Court's wisdom path Dao marks. Would she fear him? It would be the best chance to kill him. Like how Fang Yuan did not know of the derivation formation, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable also did not know that Fang Yuan had rank 9 Heavenly Secret Gu. And most importantly, Fang Yuan created stealing Heavenly Secret Killer move. Regardless of the inclination of Heaven's will, Fang Yuan could use natural inspiration to steal countless Heavenly Secrets. The three Qi surrounded Guyue Fang Xiang, who was currently undergoing natural inspiration. Seeing this, Fang Yuan restrained his scattered thoughts and focused. What heavenly secret should I steal this time? He thought about it. I can ask for Heavenly Court's information directly. That seems fine. No matter how Star Constellation Immortal Venerable tries to hide things, my stealing Heavenly Secret is rank 9. If she wants to resist it, she needs to have a rank 9 Wisdom Path Immortal Gu to achieve a qualitative change. No matter how many Wisdom Path Dao marks Heavenly Court had, it was only a quantitative amplification. When Guyue Fang Xiang's aperture exploded to create an immortal aperture, becoming a rank 6 Gu immortal, Fang Yuan's body shook. Derivation Immortal Formation. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable hit it too deeply. I only found out now. So that's it. Incredible, as expected of the #1 Wisdom Path expert throughout the past and present. At this moment, Fang Yuan felt deep admiration toward Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. She actually had such a method to rapidly promote the development of various paths. The might of Wisdom Path was truly terrifying. Such an enemy was worth admiring. Northern Plains. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable stopped his action of refining Northern Plains Luck Path Dao marks. It is about time. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable inspected the surroundings first. That he had a unique way of refining Northern Plains Luck Path Dao marks. He did not stay at the same place for long, moving to other places after fully refining all of the Dao marks in one area. Instead, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable refined Dao marks broadly. After refining 60% of the Luck Path Dao marks of a certain area in Northern Plains, he would move on to the next location and continue his refinement. After the battle in Crazed Demon Cave, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable started to refine Northern Plains Dao marks. After various events like the Great Love Declaration, Fang Clan's Saga, Spectral Soul destroying the Sun, the three Venerables' contest over Light Gu, and the trend of Immortal Ascension, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable finally refined 60% of Northern Plains Luck Path Dao marks. He had already covered the entire Northern Plains. At the same time, he did not forget to develop his own rank 9 immortal aperture. He went through several tribulations and put in several resource points. With the increased foundation of his rank 9 immortal aperture, his immortal essence production speed also rose. As time passed, the immortal aperture foundation of the Venerables would rise rapidly. Their immortal essence would become more abundant. But now, Giant Sun's immortal aperture was still far inferior to Longevity Heaven. Longevity Heaven was the rank 9 immortal aperture that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had in his previous life. Because it did not devour any 9 heavens fragment, it had gone through many calamities and tribulations over the years, gaining a huge number of Dao marks through them. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable did not have sovereign immortal aperture, he could not annex a larger immortal aperture, while he also had to cultivate blood path. Thus, if he wanted to annex longevity heaven and gain the maximum benefit, he still lacked a lot of accumulation. In terms of foundation, longevity heaven was inferior to heavenly court. Heavenly Court had the immortal aperture of 3 venerables, while Giant Sun Immortal Venerable only had his own rank 9 aperture as the foundation of his previous life. But Longevity Heaven had a huge advantage that Heavenly Court lacked. In the future, after Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's blood path cultivation reach a certain level, he could annex Longevity Heaven to raise his strength to a terrifying level. After some rest, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable started to prepare his killer move. As the killer move activated, soon, with the amplification of 60% of Northern Plains luck path Dao marks, a golden light appeared in the sky, dyeing the sky of the entire Northern Plains. Good, with this luck path killer move, in the future when my bloodline descendants undergo tribulation, they will receive some help. This was not just for immortal ascension. In the future, when Gu immortals undergo calamities and tribulations, this luck path killer move would take effect and turn the tribulation into one that the Gu immortal could easily deal with. At the same time, the power of the tribulation would also be adjusted accordingly. If the Gu immortal undergoing tribulation was strong, the luck path killer move would make the calamities and tribulations stronger, so that they could get more Dao marks after succeeding. Conversely, weakening the calamities and tribulations would allow the Gu immortals to survive and pass the tribulation. This luck path killer move was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's newest creation. It contained the profundity of heaven and earth luck and all living beings' luck. In the future, it could even fuse with self-luck to form a mystical power. After Giant Sun Immortal Venerable refined most of Northern Plains luck path Dao marks, the Huangjin tribes of the entire region benefited as a result. The mystic power of luck path was starting to display itself on a wide scale. In the future, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable planned to use other luck path killer moves to support the entire Northern Plains. He would let himself, Longevity Heaven, and the various Huangjin tribes to have positive variables in anything they did, not just tribulations. They would have good luck. If the Gu cultivator was strong, they would have a tough time at first and be suppressed. Eventually, they would experience a rebound and gain immense benefits. However, these luck path killer moves need to be modified and carefully chosen. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable pondered deeply. He could not use too many of such killer moves. Killer moves would carve Dao marks upon use. If he used them too much, the entire Northern Plains would turn into a luck path environment. This had its flaws. Because of conflicting Dao marks, all other paths would be greatly suppressed. This was not beneficial to the growth of Gu immortals. Thus, this step was very important and Giant Sun Immortal Venerable needed to find a balance. There is no rush in doing this. I need to consider the benefits and costs more deeply. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable thought as he used his investigative killer move again. This time, he was not inspecting the Venerables but the region of Northern Plains instead. Soon, a vague luck distribution map appeared in Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's mind. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable frowned slightly. In his first life, there was great effect when he used this killer move. Now, the effect was more vague, especially towards the borders. Back then, the 5 regions were separated and independent, they were not tightly connected. Thus, it was easier to inspect the luck of one region. But now, the 5 regions are united while the 2 heavens turned into spectral heaven. To achieve the same level of investigative power as my previous life, I will need to refine all of the luck path Dao marks in the 5 regions. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable reached a conclusion and stopped using his killer move. He had just used 2 immortal killer moves in succession. They used a lot of immortal killer move. His immortal killer move storage had reached an alarming level once again. Next, he would need to rest for some time before refining Northern Plains Dao marks again. Otherwise, he would be in danger if the Venerables decide to fight. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2292, Obtaining Wisdom Gu again. Chapter 2292, Obtaining Wisdom Gu again. Eastern Sea. At the depths of the sea, in complete darkness. Fang Yuan's main body concealed his movements as he secretly arrived here. A huge translucent bubble could be seen in front of him. This should be the place. Fang Yuan realized. He stopped moving, closely inspecting it. This bubble was formed in a special manner. It was a secret underwater world created from many elements, like an underwater volcano's eruption, the surrounding sea water, and the chi tides that swept past previously. Fire path, earth path, water path, and chi path, the Tao marks of these four paths created this isolated utopia. This place was very well hidden. Unless any Gu immortal saw it personally, it would be hard to detect. I'll name this the Four Paths Air Bubble. Fang Yuan activated his investigative method and observed the surroundings, before opening his immortal aperture's entrance to let out a Gu immortal. This Gu immortal had pink wavy hair. He was Fang Yuan's dream path clone, Meng Qiuzhen. Meng Qiuzhen's cultivation level was still low, but he was a dream path cultivator. Because the mission was quite special, Fang Yuan purposely dispatched him. Otherwise, he would stay inside the sovereign immortal aperture most of the time to research Dream Path. On rare occasions, he went on missions to stabilize and resolve the sovereign immortal aperture's issues. Fang Yuan used a method to carefully move Meng Qiuzhen into the air bubble. After 15 minutes, Meng Qiuzhen returned to the sovereign immortal aperture. He succeeded. He brought back a wild Wisdom Gu. Wisdom Gu was previously rank 9, but Giant Sun Immortal Venerable made arrangements and gave it to Fang Yuan. During the Fate War, in order to complete Red Lotus Plan, Wisdom Gu was used as one of the materials. As a result, rank 9 Wisdom Gu ceased to exist. But under the laws of the heavenly Tao, life and death coexisted. Under the control of Heaven's will, a wild rank 6 Wisdom Gu soon appeared in the 5 regions. This Wisdom Gu was hidden within the air bubble. After Fang Yuan stole heavenly secrets, he found the location of many wild immortal Gu. Among them, Wisdom Gu was his greatest gain. Thus, he came here personally to prevent any accidents from happening, ensuring that Wisdom Gu would be retrieved successfully. Everything had happened according to the information in stealing heavenly secret. Meng Qiuzhen used his Dream Path method to easily suppress the rank 6 Wisdom Gu. Within the air bubble, although there was an underwater volcano and surrounding fish groups, none were able to threaten Meng Qiuzhen. As for Fang Yuan, he had too many Tao marks. If he stretched his hand into the air bubble, it would likely burst. Thus, only his clone could accomplish this. Rank 6 Wisdom Gu was soon refined by Fang Yuan. Although it was Wisdom Gu, Fang Yuan was a great refinement path venerable. Refining a mere rank 6 immortal Gu was simply too easy. For a venerable, using rank 9 essence to refine wild rank 8 immortal Gu posed no problems at all. The difficult thing was refining rank 9 immortal Gu. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable took over 100 years to refine rank 9 Wisdom Gu in her previous life, while Giant Sun Immortal Venerable failed to refine Love Immortal Gu. These were all examples. After the Fate War, Wisdom Gu has returned to my possession again. And this time, it is not tampered with by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. This is a Wisdom Gu that belongs solely to me. Fang Yuan felt a faint feeling of joy internally. As for raising Wisdom Gu back to rank 9, Fang Yuan felt that there was no urgency in this. With stealing Heavenly Secret Killer move, Fang Yuan could greatly improve his wisdom path deductions and modifications. He could also make up for his lack of information collecting methods. After obtaining Wisdom Gu, Fang Yuan returned to his original spot and showed that he was openly refining Eastern Sea's refinement path Tao marks. Furthermore, he took breaks quite often to show that his immortal essence was lacking and that he was in a poor condition. His divine sense entered the sovereign immortal aperture. During this period of time, another major project in Immortal Aperture was completed. For this project, Fang Yuan used all the immortal material reserves of his subordinates, among which Eastern Sea's Hua clan had the greatest contribution. They earned a lot of contribution points. As for the construction of the splendid cloud cover, Fang Yuan succeeded after he chose to use stealing Heavenly Secret to get an answer from Heaven's will. This splendid cloud cover covered a radius of over 10 li, it flew slowly in the mini 9 heavens. Once in a while it would go from one heaven to another. The splendid cloud was an immortal material from rank 6 to 9. The splendid cloud that Fang Yuan had now was a congregation of many different similar materials. Most were rank 6, 30% were rank 7, less than 10% was rank 8, while there was barely any rank 9 ones. The food of rank 9 heavenly secret immortal Gu was a large field of splendid clouds. Fang Yuan was still far from meeting the requirements of one feeding session. But it was not a concern. The higher the immortal Gu's rank, the less frequent it needed to be fed. Looking at the current situation, there was still a lot of time until the next feeding session. During this period of time, the splendid cloud cover could grow sufficiently. There was ample time. Gu cultivation involved nurture, use, and refinement. The feeding of rank 9 immortal Gu was a test that Fang Yuan had to pass. He currently had 3 rank 9 immortal Gu. They were Heavenly Essence Treasure Imperial Lotus, Advanced Refinement Immortal Gu, and Heavenly Secret Immortal Gu. The former two were easier to feed, while Heavenly Secret Immortal Gu was comparatively more troublesome. But Fang Yuan planned in advance, he had already started to resolve this problem. In any case, the feeding of rank 9 Immortal Gu was not Fang Yuan's biggest problem. He could settle it by just putting in some hard work. He was already a venerable who owned Eastern Sea of the 5 regions. He also has super forces from the 2 heavens. Also, after his great love declaration, the most common business in Treasure Yellow Heaven became his immortal Gu refinement transactions. And because the sovereign immortal aperture had immense foundation, even in the entire world, only Longevity Heaven and Heavenly Court could match or beat him. Fang Yuan had already seen the Blue Dragon Whale's Grotto Heaven immortal aperture. Treasure Yellow Heaven was a special grotto heaven meant for Gu immortal transactions. Its own foundation could not compare to the sovereign immortal aperture. After this period of development, the sovereign immortal aperture was gradually undergoing a qualitative change. In the past, the sovereign immortal aperture was like a dying patient, it was always closed to destruction or breaking down entirely. But now, the situation did not just stabilize, it was even improving. There were 2 main reasons. There were 2 main reasons. One was that the sovereign immortal aperture's Dao veins had already been established to a certain level, allowing it to reap the first wave of benefits. There was already 1 ring of fire path, wind path, and water path Dao veins. The earth path Dao vein that was established first already had 3 rings. This had an immense effect to stabilize the sovereign immortal aperture. The effect was immediate. The sovereign immortal aperture's Gu immortals could sense clearly that abnormal situations of earth path, fire path, wind path, and water path were decreasing rapidly, they became less common. The second reason was that more than 30 of Fang Yuan's Gu cultivator subordinates had passed their immortal ascension tribulation. Immediately, the sovereign immortal aperture gained a huge supply of manpower. With abundant people, Fang Yuan could easily dispatch Gu immortals to various locations in the 5 regions secretly to collect the wild immortal Gu. Days later, Gu immortals started to return. Some of them brought back undiscovered resource points while others brought back wild immortal Gu. Among which, there was 1 wild time path immortal Gu, month. At this point, he had collected all 3 immortal Gu, year, month, day. After getting the newest information, Fang Yuan's subordinates took action with a high success rate. The results of stealing Heavenly Secret did not end here. While Fang Yuan refined Dao marks, he also unsealed the truthful floating eyes secretly while making modifications to various killer moves. After stealing Heavenly Secrets, he obtained a large number of reference materials. His modification of killer moves became very aggressive, among which were compound killer moves. Fang Yuan even started to construct his combat system on a large scale. All along, he did not have much gains in this aspect, but with stealing Heavenly Secret, he obtained a lot of information that had immense value. Next, as Gu immortals continued to return, although many succeeded, some returned empty-handed. Most of the secretive resource points were brought back, but some were damaged or destroyed by natural disasters like earthquakes or tsunamis. There was no point in relocating them. As for wild immortal Gu, they were also starting to move elsewhere. Feng Yuan was not surprised. Heaven's will could influence people's minds. It could also think. Feng Yuan had always been the target of Heaven's will. Now that he collected all these secretive resource points and wild immortal Gu, how could Heaven's will not make a response? Heavenly Tao emphasized balance. It would naturally try to restrict Feng Yuan from getting even stronger. Thus, this reaction was within Feng Yuan's expectations. Thus, Feng Yuan arranged for the most important immortal Gu and resource points to be the ones that were targeted first, allowing him to have great gains. As for the rest, they had lower value. In comparison, Feng Yuan could give up on them with no significant losses, but he could also try and see if any were salvageable. Feng Yuan gradually digested his gains from using stealing heavenly secret. In this process, he gained a deeper understanding of this killer move. The information from stealing heavenly secret is extremely terrifying. It completely made up for my weakness in information path. However, if I use these information excessively, Heaven's will make adjustments and cause them to become less valuable. Additionally, grotto heavens like longevity heaven cannot be inspected through stealing heavenly secret. The various killer moves and information about combat system that I steal are very useful if I want to modify killer moves and make my own combat system. But since Heaven's will knows about it, then this information must have already existed somewhere. Others might know it too. Furthermore, there are many things that Heaven's will does not know, like the secret venerable true inheritances. Heaven's will can remember but not modify killer moves on its own. The painting path, human path, and pill path research results that I obtained were all produced through the derivation formation. Stealing heavenly secret could inspect and save Feng Yuan a lot of time and effort. It had an amazing effect. Regardless, it had its flaws. Feng Yuan still had a need for information path and wisdom path development. It was just that his needs were half satisfied now. He was no longer as urgent as before. Stealing heavenly secret mainly relied on rank 9 heavenly secret Gu. Once Heaven's will found out about the immortal Gu recipe, it would respond and cause the effect of stealing heavenly secret to become weaker. Stealing heavenly secret was also dependent on natural inspiration. It could not be used freely. Feng Yuan had already decided to nurture Gu cultivators in the immortal aperture. He would continue to accumulate more Gu immortal seeds. Whenever it was necessary, he would make a bunch of time undergo immortal ascension. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2293, Mental Domain. Chapter 2293, Mental Domain. Inside the sovereign immortal aperture. Within the secret room, an entire circle of Feng Yuan were sitting. Or more accurately, a large number of Feng Yuan's clones. This cultivation secret room was huge. Feng Yuan's clones were all newly formed using human path Gu worms. Among them, the Gu Master level ones were Doctor, Pill Refiner, Constable, and Craftsman. There were also rank 6 Gu Immortal level ones like Shadow Puppet, Talented Girl, Soldier, Sergeant, Musician, Thief, Farmer, Dancer, and Blacksmith. Indeed, the Human Path research results that the 10 children of Human Path gained from entering the derivation formation were all obtained by Feng Yuan. After that, he rushed to refine all these Gu. As long as he had the recipe, with Feng Yuan's refinement path attainment, refining these low-ranked immortal Gu was very easy. This resulted in the 10 children of human path failing to create their vital immortal Gu during their immortal ascension. During this period of time, Feng Yuan's clones had been in closed cultivation, comprehending human path and having their respective insights. Although these clones are low in rank, there are exceptional aspects when compared to Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's method. For example, they only need a small investment to create. Spectral Soul's Shadow Sect clones needed to cultivate themselves and start from 0. But these clones could instantly gain Gu Master or Gu Immortal level strength by just using Human Path Gu worms. The clones formed from Human Path Gu worms had apertures and immortal apertures for Gu Masters and Gu Immortals respectively. But be it aperture or immortal essence, neither could produce primeval essence or immortal essence, they could only store essence. The Human Path clones were also unable to cultivate to increase their strength. The rank of the Gu worm decided the strength of the clone. But the Human Path clones would retain the main body's attainment levels. The human path clones mainly cultivated human path with other paths on the side. For example, musician clone cultivated human path with sound path on the side. Farmer clone cultivated human path with wood path and earth path on the side. Shadow puppet clone cultivated human path with transformation path and shadow path on the side. All in all, these clones were not useful to Feng Yuan. They were too weak, even the highest ranked one was only rank 6. The thing that both Feng Yuan and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable agreed with was that Pill Refiner clone had the greatest value. This clone cultivated human path with refinement path and pill path on the side. Although there were only rank 1 to 5 Pill Refiner Gu Masters, they would create a terrifying impact on the entire Gu Master world. If Feng Yuan's subordinates did not undergo immortal ascension at this time, these human path clones might still be useful. Now, they were of little value to Feng Yuan. They were even an important evidence that could expose obscured heavenly secret. Thinking about it, Feng Yuan turned these human path clones back into their respective Gu worms. They were similar to Feng Yuan's sovereign immortal body but quite different. They could interchange between Gu worm and human forms, but Feng Yuan's sovereign immortal body was fixed at human form with the requirement to eat the Gu worm's food. But in any case, a normal person needed to eat at set intervals as well. I'll leave Thief Gu behind. Thinking so, Feng Yuan willed at the next moment as most of the Gu worms in the secret room self-detonated. Central Continent. In the deepest part of Star Array Calculation Formation. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was inspecting a secluded domain of heaven and earth that was inside. This secluded domain looked like a cage or a lantern. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had used it in Crazed Demon Cave to fight against the other Venerables. This was the Wisdom Path secluded domain, mental domain. It was recorded in the Legends of Renzu. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable placed mental domain in the star array calculation formation and used the power of the formation to secretly absorb emotions. All sorts of negative emotions in the central continent's 10 great ancient sects were absorbed into the mental domain. With this method, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable managed to leave only positive emotions in the countless lifeforms of Central Continent towards Heavenly Court and the 10 great ancient sects. This caused Central Continent's unity to rise to a new level. Mental domain needs to store emotions. The more emotions there are, the stronger this secluded domain of heaven and earth becomes. But it needs to be controlled too. If there are too much emotions stored, the mental domain will instead go too far and have a reverse effect. Like what is recorded in the Legends of Renzu, it would be best to have Calm Gu and Fortitude Gu to suppress mental domain. It is a pity that I only have Calm Gu but not Fortitude Gu. Thus, there is an obvious limit to the amount of emotions the mental domain can store. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable needed to be careful when activating it. She could not afford to expose this to the other Venerables and end up with trouble. At that time, even someone who lacked immortal essence like Feng Yuan would want to extort Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. This was the trick that Star Constellation Immortal Venerable played when creating the star array calculation formation. She managed to hide it from the two Venerables. After all, they could only see the general information of the star array calculation formation. After her inspection, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable received some good news. Oh, among the 10 children of human path, someone has already refined musician Gu to an immortal Gu. Good. It seems that the failed attempts from earlier was due to the obstruction of heaven's will. The refinement of immortal Gu during the ascension tribulation is essentially using heaven's will to help one refine Gu. Heaven's will was unwilling to help, likely because these are human path Gu worms. But afterwards, the refinement attempt done by a person succeeded. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable put her heart at ease. Earlier, when she found that the 10 children of human path had all failed, she felt suspicious. The possibilities included having traitors in Heavenly Court, a problem with the derivation. The possibilities included having traitors in Heavenly Court, a problem with the derivation formation, the hidden methods of the other Venerables in Heavenly Court, or even because information was leaked by Heaven's will. After learning of this success, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's suspicions were mostly lifted. Half a day later, the first batch of Gu immortals chosen from Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects gathered within the star array calculation formation. Immortal Killer Move, Endless Learning. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable activated this killer move. The killer move had a light blue radiance that spread within the star array calculation formation. In a certain space within the formation, the Gu immortals were ready. It's coming. Someone muttered with an excited expression. Everyone was stirred. Soon, the immortals' expressions turned solemn as they were immersed in the indescribable profundity of the great Tao. With the effect of the killer move, the immortals' cultivation path's attainment level rose gradually. As time passed, after reaching their limit, some Gu immortals started to develop hallucinations. At this time, the star array calculation formation would activate and send these Gu immortals to another part of the formation to rest. Endless Learning was a human path killing intent. It used Book Mountain and Learning Gu as the cores, allowing the Gu cultivator to produce true meaning and absorb it to raise their attainment levels. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had used this move in Crazed Demon Cave before. She was now using it on the Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects Gu immortals. Her intention to nurture them was more sincere now. The gains of the Gu immortals would depend on their own talent, aptitude, comprehension, and personal experiences. Unimaginable to think that there is such a method in the world to directly raise attainment level. This move was used by Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable personally. Of course, it is amazing, she can achieve the impossible. Rumor has it that Dream Realms can raise the Gu cultivator's attainment level. In my opinion, Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's method has completely surpassed the dangerous method of Dream Path. Dream Realm explorations are very dangerous, but the attainment level gained can potentially be endless. As for Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's human path killing move, our gains will depend on ourselves. It can only help us to produce true meaning. After using it once, we will need to accumulate a lot of experience and foundation, otherwise, we will not have much gains next time. The immortals slowly break out of the hallucinations and woke up as they started conversing. Soon, the immortals flew out of the star array calculation formation. 3 stayed and did not leave yet. Among them, there was Heaven's Envy Manor's Gu immortal, Tan Ku. He went to find ancient soul sects Yang Feng and Spirit Butterfly Valley's Jian Pu. After some discussion, Tan Ku used his own immortal Gu to exchange for Yang Feng's resources. He then used Yang Feng's immortal materials to exchange for Jian Pu's other immortal Gu. After the transaction, all 3 sides got what they wanted. They were satisfied. Thanks to the star array calculation formation, it can understand what we need and help us to undergo optimal transactions. Otherwise, how can we know of each other's needs so clearly? Jian Pu sighed. At this moment, all 3 immortals benefited from the star array calculation formation. They understood its usefulness. Ever since the star array calculation formation collected information of the Gu immortals, such situations became more common among the Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects Gu immortals. Thus, even the Gu immortals of the smaller sects were interested. They wanted to report their own information to the star array calculation formation. The formation had the ability to distribute overall resources more efficiently in Central Continent by just focusing on transaction between Gu immortals. Undeniably, this would promote the growth of Central Continent and raise its overall strength. The 3 immortals did not have a close relationship before, but after the transaction, they became closer. On the way back, they talked about the recently popular topic among Central Continent's Gu masters, human path. During this period of time, human path cultivation had become a rising trend for the lower rank Gu masters in Central Continent. This was clearly backed by the 10 great ancient sects who were tasked by Heavenly Court to support this trend. It seems that Heavenly Court has decided to develop human path. That's right, our sects chose the 10 children of human path who have all become Gu immortals now. Heavenly Court has the top tier research results of human path. Now is the time for them to promote it widely. I think that it is too rushed, but since star constellation Immortal Venerable made such a decision, there must be a flaw in my logic. It is a pity that our path is already set, converting to human path is too costly. Friend Tan Ku, you are smiling. Do you have a solution to this? I only made the Gu immortal seeds in my immortal aperture cultivate human path. I did that too. Central continent's Gu immortals were gradually feeling the advantages of the star array calculation formation. They also showed a consensus regarding the prospects of human path. However, Tan Ku still did not know this now. Although his action was the same as any other Gu immortals, one small character who he supported would rise to become a legend in the future. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2294, Finding Self Gu. Chapter 2294, Finding Self Gu. Quick, cultivate this. Within Tan Ku's immortal aperture, a middle-aged rank 5 Gu master was handing out a cultivation method to Wang Xiao'er. Foster father, what is this? Wang Xiao'er asked in confusion. Wang Xiao'er had his own secret. He was not of Fang clan's bloodline, he was a captive of Fang Dongxi. But after Fang Dongxi died in battle, his immortal aperture was invaded by Xiao Yihu, causing a huge commotion. Using the opportunity, Wang Xiao'er escaped for his life and mixed in with this branch of Fang Dongxi's descendants. Afterwards, they were sold in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Tan Ku was one of the Gu immortals who bought these human slaves. Within the batch of Fang clansmen that he bought, there was Wang Xiao'er. Thus, Wang Xiao'er started his new life in Tan Ku's immortal aperture. Naturally, Tan Ku's immortal aperture had Tan clan's bloodline. Thus, the Fang clansmen all had low status, they were slaves. But even among slaves, there was a difference in status. For example, the middle-aged Gu master in front of Wang Xiao'er. He had a rather pitiful life. When Fang Dongxi's immortal aperture was in a commotion, his whole family died. The middle-aged Gu master became disheartened and did not want to marry anyone else. After seeing the lonely Wang Xiao'er who was in the same plight as him, he felt that this young man resembled his son and took him in as a foster son. After all, in the eyes of the middle-aged Gu master, Wang Xiao'er was also a Fang clan descendant. The middle-aged Gu master knocked Wang Xiao'er's head and laughed as he scolded, "What are you suspicious about? Do you think I'll harm you? I'll tell you the truth, the Gu immortals who bought us are from Central Continent. He bought us because he took an interest in our aptitude. Now, he has handed down a human path cultivation method that if we can cultivate it successfully, we will be able to raise our status. In the future, we may even become Gu immortals." Wang Xiao'er listened in a dumbfounded manner. But soon, he stated his suspicions. If this is such a precious cultivation method, why is the Central Continent Gu immortal not cultivating it himself? Why isn't he leaving it for his own descendants but us instead? The middle-aged Gu master clearly knew many Gu immortal secrets. He had a broad vision that he explained. Gu immortals cultivate their own path, with human path being one of the possibilities. Since this Gu immortal has already become immortal, he cannot cultivate human path anymore. Furthermore, not everyone has the aptitude to become an immortal. Human path has just started developing. Central Continent's Gu immortals are handing out these methods as a trial. Thus, for his own genius descendants, he will definitely leave a portion of the essence of his own cultivation method for them. The remaining Tan clansmen and us will cultivate human path. Human path is really underdeveloped in our former blessed land. I've never even heard of it, but we have no choice now. If we don't cultivate, we won't even have any opportunity. Xiao'er, you will live your life in here. Those Tan clansmen will step on you and command you like a slave. Are you willing to live like this? Wang Xiao'er quickly shook his head and said, "Solemn, foster father, please teach me the method, I will cultivate." Wang Xiao'er obtained a large amount of human path information. It was helpful in raising his understanding of human path. There were also several human path Gu worms. They were the foundation for starting his human path cultivation. After the middle-aged Gu master taught Wang Xiao'er some lessons, the latter started to cultivate on his own. On this night, Wang Xiao'er was so excited he could not sleep. He decided to cultivate instead. But an immortal Gu was accidentally awakened by him in this situation. The immortal Gus will took the initiative and communicated with Wang Xiao Air as he felt very surprised. Self-Gu. Self-Gu was so small and had hidden itself within Wang Xiao Air's body, nobody else had sensed it. He remembered that this was a famous legendary Gu in the legends of Renzu. He became extremely happy and incredulous. Thus, he quickly flipped through the legends of Renzu. The Legends of Renzu, Chapter 5, Section 38. After falling into the water of the river of time, Renzu and the other two woke up in shock. The three immediately climb up to a nearby floating ice. Although it was only a short time, they had already grown old. Time Gu is hidden within the river of time. Our lifespan will be washed away by the river water. Great strength, true martial side. Renzu felt regretful. Constantly encountering good situations is actually a bad thing. It will create a huge problem. It is not good to be too happy or constantly happy. It can make people indulge in the present and forget about time as they get immersed entirely. But Carefree Wisdom Heart said with a tone of joy, "Quick, look at your heart." The three of them inspected their inner heart. They saw that many accumulated emotions had been washed away earlier when they fell into the river. This discovery made Renzu and the other two feel very happy. Next, they continued to travel on the floating ice. Whenever they encountered a bad situation and felt negative emotions, they would put their heart into the river water to wash it. These bad situations will pass eventually. Their negative emotions faded away with time. Whenever they encountered a good situation and felt immersed in joy, they would put their heart into the river water to wash it. These good situations will pass eventually. Their positive emotions also weakened over time, preventing them from feeling indulgent. Cognition Gu saw that the three of them were constantly washing their hearts. It could not help but remind them, time has never healed the wounds of the heart, except that your hearts have grown old. The worst thing is not your body growing old but your heart's aging. Stop washing them. Renzu and the other two heard these words and quickly stopped their actions. But without washing the hearts, their speed fell again. Let me help you. At this time, a Gu worm flew over and landed on Renzu. Renzu and the other two saw this Gu worm and became very happy. It was familial emotion Gu. With the help of familial emotion Gu, Renzu and the other two spread their emotions around. The joy of one person was split among three, the sorrow of one person was also split into three. Using familial emotion, Renzu and the other two consoled each other and carried each other's burden. They moved quickly and firmly. But good times did not last. More and more emotions accumulated in their hearts became tired and gradually got hurt after being unable to sustain it any longer. Deep emotions hurt the heart. The situation soon aggravated, because their hearts were severely injured, they could not take in more emotions. At this time, Carefree Wisdom Heart took out a cage and held it in her hand. This is the mental domain that I created, place all your emotions in here. Renzu and Great Strength True Martial did as she said. They put their emotions into the mental domain. Immediately, the truthful floating ice revealed its original appearance in front of the three. They were simply pieces of floating ice. The three felt a different sensation towards it now. The emotions of people did not concern others, only their own mental state mattered. What is this? Carefree Wisdom Heart soon found a Gu worm in the floating ice. The Gu worm answered, I am calm Gu. The truth was icy cold. This was the attitude that one should have when facing situations. Renzu and the other two finally reached the center of the truthful floating ice. But they did not find Self-Gu. So Self-Gu is not here. Renzu was very disappointed. Initially, people would often think that they were the center of all situations, but that was not true. At the center of the truthful floating ice, there was no Self-Gu, but three other Gu instead. They were Rules Gu, Regulation Gu, and Practice Gu. Rules and Regulation Gu had been with Renzu for a long time. After Renzu's heart was eaten by the predicament, they thought that he died and left him. They came here to create truthful floating ice along with Practice Gu. All sorts of situations were bound by the rules and regulation of heaven and earth. The three Gu continued to create truthful floating ice like this. Afterwards, under the effect of time Gu, these floating ice flowed away and sank. Rules and regulation Gu saw Renzu and felt surprised. Oh human, so you did not die. Renzu quickly asked them on how he could find self Gu. Rules and regulation Gu pointed at practice Gu and said in unison, it can help you. Practice Gu replied, oh human, you have gone through too many situations. After such a long time, you have changed a lot. Self Gu is the same, even if it is right before you, it will feel very foreign now, you cannot recognize it. What can I do? Renzu was troubled. This is simple. Practice Gu laughed, can't you just undergo the situation of recognizing yourself? That's right. Renzu and the other two realized at once. Practice Gu continued, for a human, recognizing yourself is the most important and also most difficult thing in the world. Great strength true martial, you are strong and have ability, if we work together, the chance of success is very high. Ability Gu laughed and said, undergoing situations can make me stronger. Carefree wisdom heart supported this, she gave serious Gu to great strength true martial. Great strength true martial started to undergo situations alongside practice Gu. They first created a piece of floating ice that was as small as a ball. It surrounded great strength true martial and practice Gu as a light membrane appeared around the ice ball. Renzu and carefree wisdom heart stood on top of the ice ball as they flowed away, eventually encountering your Gu. Is this self Gu? Renzu asked. Great strength true martial replied, no, self Gu is smaller than it. They continued to undergo situations within the ice ball as ability Gu got stronger, the floating ice also became larger as a water membrane appeared around the periphery. While floating, Renzu saw month Gu. Is this self Gu? Renzu asked. Great strength true martial replied, no, self Gu is smaller than it. Great strength true martial and practice Gu continued working hard, ability Gu got stronger and made this floating ice even bigger, the periphery of the ice ball was covered in a stone membrane. Renzu saw De Gu. Is this self Gu? Renzu asked. Great strength true martial replied, no, self Gu is smaller than it. The stronger the ability, the more one would find that they were small and insignificant. Eventually, the floating ice reached its biggest size, the periphery was covered by a crystal membrane. Renzu and the other two floated on the ice ball and eventually found self Gu. Self Gu is actually so small. Renzu was internally shaken. Cognition Gu sighed, in the eyes of heaven and earth, in the eyes of mankind, a single self Gu is very small and insignificant. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2295, Fang Yuan wants more twins. Chapter 2295, Fang Yuan wants more twins. Late at night. Wang Xiaoer looked at the legends of Renzu as his eyes turned bloodshot from excitement, his nose was also blowing out steam. Foster Father's human path cultivation method is not wrong at all. The Legends of Renzu is truly a human path classic. I've just noticed that in the section regarding self-Gu, it actually hints the different levels of each Gu master cultivation rank. Light membrane, water membrane, stone membrane, and crystal membrane. Renzu and the other two met the time path Gu, year, month, and day, in the river of time. Does this mean that Gu master cultivation takes a long time to gradually accumulate accomplishments? I am still too ignorant now, this is all that I can see. The human path cultivation method states that the most outstanding cultivators in history, the Venerables, have all comprehended something from the Legends of Renzu. Thus, there are many human path killer moves created as their research results. Even though I cannot match them now, I still have an extraordinary hope. Self-Gu. It has been hiding in my body all along. The moment I started my human path cultivation, I found it. This must be a human path immortal Gu. Among the various Gu worms mentioned in the Legends of Renzu, in my eyes, self-Gu is the most special and unique one. With this immortal Gu, human path is truly the most suitable path for me. It is definitely the right choice to cultivate human path. At almost the same time. In the sovereign immortal aperture, mini Eastern Sea. Haha. Mermaid Gu immortal Tang Qiong could not help but laugh. It was definitely the right choice for our entire race to join Fang Yuan and live in the sovereign immortal aperture. Her excitement could not be concealed. There was a total of 3 merman female immortals. Fang Yuan had brought them in earlier. After bringing a group of mermen to settle down here, they started to live in the sovereign immortal aperture. The 3 merman female immortals had a clear distribution of jobs. Yuzi was mostly in charge of completing missions and earning contribution points. Lian Kuxian was in charge of external relations. She communicated with the other races and forces. Tang Qiong was in charge of defending the merman tribe's territory. After all, abnormal situations often occurred in the sovereign immortal aperture. The territory of the various forces had at least one Gu immortal defending it at all times for safety. Tang Qiong had just received orders from Fang Yuan. There was a piece of information that was rather outstanding. From now on, Fang Yuan would put in more effort to support the well-performing descendants of the various tribes and forces. He would spend a huge sum to aid their cultivation and promote them to become Gu immortal seeds. To achieve this, Fang Yuan even gave orders to the Gu immortals in charge of the various factions. Each other, the respective forces had to nurture a certain number of Gu immortal seeds. If they reached the target, they would receive contribution points. Otherwise, they would be punished. Lord Alliance Leader is not just impartial and fair, he also has a heart of benevolence. He is helping us variant humans to nurture more Gu masters by investing such a huge sum of resources. Even among the past venerables, none had ever shown such love to us variant humans like Lord Fang Yuan. Even Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable only helped some of our tribes. It cannot compare to Lord Fang Yuan. Thinking of this, tears appeared in Tang Qiong's eyes. The reason why Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable helped the variant humans was because he could not bear seeing them face the threat of extinction. But Fang Yuan was different. Fang Yuan did not just give the variant humans a fair and relatively safe environment to live in without ostracism, he even gave them aid in the form of resources so that they could grow stronger. This was an unprecedented situation. Tang Qiong had gone through a lot of ordeals when she managed the Merman Imperial Court. They were ostracized and suppressed by various forces. As a Merman Gu immortal, she had lived a life of being bullied and overwhelmed with pressure. Now, inside the sovereign immortal aperture, she felt truly free and happy. The work she did in the sovereign immortal aperture was far more tiring than being in Eastern Sea. She often had to work her hardest and not rest for more than 10 days in a row, along with the threat of her liver exploding. But now, Tang Qiong was feeling increasingly fond of this place. She loved this world and treasured this sea area. Because here, there was fairness and equality that the 5 regions lacked. Because here, there was abundant hope. Because here, as long as one worked hard and was willing to undergo hardship, they will be rewarded based on effort. Because here, one could feel that they were growing and improving at an observable rate. Their own tribe or force was also developing rapidly. Tang Qiong's divine sense Gu entered the information path. Mortal Gu again, she reread the information that she had already looked through several times. Fang Yuan's orders greatly encouraged the procreation of the various forces. The more children they had, the more rewards they would receive. Regarding the increase in population, Fang Yuan had a clear direction. The vast amount of cultivation resources would be handed down to the Gu immortals of the various factions and forces in the next few days. Among which, there were large quantities of Relic Gu, Unprocessed Jade Gu, Wood Origin Gu, Water Source Gu, Man Triumphing Heaven Gu and others. Relic Gu could raise the cultivation of a Gu master by a small realm, while precious mortal Gu like Unprocessed Jade Gu could raise the Gu master's aptitude. In essence, they were just carving a certain path as Dao marks on the Gu master's bodies. Unprocessed Jade Gu carved Earth Path Dao marks. It was suitable for raising the aptitude of Rockman Gu masters. Wood Origin Gu suited Minimen, Water Source Gu suited Mermen, while Man Triumphing Heaven Gu suited purebred humans without Gu master aptitude. It could forcefully awaken their aperture. With these resources, our tribe can finally see hope in a bright future. There has never been a venerable like Lord Fang Yuan. He truly cares about his people. No matter how ordinary or common these people are, his love is boundless like the sun while soothing like the wind, enveloping everyone. He is truly worthy of being great love immortal venerable. It is my greatest fortune to be on his side. Thinking of this, Tang Qiong felt very excited as tears flowed down her face. Fang Yuan, who was idolized by Tang Qiong, had just used obscured heavenly secret once again. It could not be helped. The gains from stealing heavenly secret were too bountiful. Even now, there were still Gu immortals who were returning from Eastern Sea, Western Desert, and Southern Border, bringing back cultivation resources secretly. The most valuable things were the information of the 5 regions, Fang Yuan's modified killer moves, and the establishment of his combat system. Everything caused his luck to grow immensely again. Thus, Fang Yuan had to activate obscured heavenly secret again to fortify the concealment effect. During this period of time, Fang Yuan did not refine his 4th rank 9 immortal Gu. On the surface, he was refining Eastern Sea's refinement path Dao marks intermittently, but in secret, he was digesting the gains of stealing heavenly secret and deducing many things. As for the truthful floating ice, although it was the most important thing earlier, it was no longer his focus now. The initial benefit of unsealing the truthful floating ice was already obtained, now, the gains had evidently fallen. This was reflected upon Fang Yuan's own luck as well. Fang Yuan used luck inspection and only managed to see a portion of it, but from this portion, he could see many things that were useful to his deductions. Everything involving rank 9 heavenly secret Gu was Fang Yuan's greatest secret. This involved obscured heavenly secret, stealing heavenly secret, and others. Because of stealing heavenly secret, Fang Yuan started to target those mortals in the immortal aperture. He worked at lightning speed. After understanding the value of these mortals, he decided to nurture them with his full support. Tang Qiong and the rest did not know the truth. Fang Yuan had abundant immortal materials in his storage, mortal materials were more lacking in comparison. The sovereign immortal aperture itself produced a lot of mortal materials on a large scale, but there were a lot of materials needed to nurture mortals. The sovereign immortal aperture had to use treasure yellow heaven to undergo various transactions and satisfy this need. The plan was already established while cultivation resources were not an issue, but Fang Yuan wanted to make this even better. He calculated and found that he had many methods that could be used to nurture these mortal Gu masters. For example, Blood Skull Gu, Bone Flesh Unity Gu, and Guts Gu, as well as the rank 1 to 6 version of Second Aperture Gu. Aptitude was very important to a Gu master. Back then, Fang Yuan had used Blood Skull Gu to slaughter his clan and obtained a great aptitude. The A-grade aptitude gave him immense help in his future cultivation journey. At the same time, A-grade aptitude meant a higher chance at becoming a Gu immortal seed than B or C-grade aptitude. If one had poor aptitude, rank 3 or 4 would be their limit, how could they even reach rank 5? Blood Skull Gu's ability to raise aptitude is even more outstanding than unprocessed Jade Gu, Wood Origin Gu, Water Source Gu, and Polished Gold Gu. Maybe I can use Blood Skull Gu to undergo a massive slaughter before reviving them using Human C and slaughtering them again. In that case, I can create a large number of A-grade aptitude Gu masters. A terrifying cultivation plan emerged in Fang Yuan's mind. He thought of Bone Flesh Unity Gu. This Gu was very useful to Fang Yuan when he was still a Gu master. It could help to elevate primeval essence for cultivation. Not only could Fang Yuan use it to advance a small realm, he could even tackle the boundaries to cross a cultivation rank. It was truly useful. But to refine this Gu, I will need twins. This is a little troublesome. Fang Yuan not only needed a few hundred Bone Flesh Unity Gu, he needed a vast number of them and scattered them across the sovereign immortal aperture. In that case, in the future, there would be many new Gu immortal seeds. I do not have the time to focus on my current human soul cultivation method. My previous attempt has also bore little fruit. Thus, I can use Guts Gu to nurture Gu immortal seeds. A stronger soul is very useful to them. As for Second Aperture Gu, it is only icing on the cake. Fang Yuan would not use rank 6 Second Aperture Immortal Gu to nurture them. At most, he would use rank 1 to 5 versions of them. Right now, Second Aperture Gu was confirmed to be a Heaven Path Gu worm. Rank 6 Second Aperture Gu used Lifespan Gu as the material, while Lifespan Gu was the most classic Heaven Path Gu worm. It contained Heaven Path Dao marks. Rank 9 Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu used the 10 Extreme Physiques as the Gu material. It was Immortal Fetus instead of Immortal Aperture, thus it was a Human Path Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan made a conclusion: he needed to amass Gu immortal seeds by first increasing the population. Whether they were variant humans or humans did not matter. Fang Yuan did not intend to take an external people. As for Gu immortal seeds, it would be better for the sovereign immortal aperture to nurture them, they were more loyal after all. Variant humans were the most loyal to him. Fang Yuan felt more assured with these variant humans. With a higher population, the number of Gu masters would also rise. But to create Gu immortal seeds, one needed to raise the Gu master's aptitude first. This meant that mortals did not just need to give birth more often, they also needed to create more siblings and blood-related kin for Fang Yuan to slaughter in the future. It would be best if they were twins. That way, while slaughtering them, he could also refine them into bone-flesh unity. Gu. I need more twins. Fang Yuan thought about it and muttered, I need to look for giant son immortal venerable. Among the venerables, he is most skilled at having children. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2296, Fei Wu revives. Chapter 2296, Fei Wu revives. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had a strange expression. Just earlier, a transaction between him and Heaven Refining Demon Venerable was held. Both sides obtained what they wanted. But Fang Yuan has needs for childbirth. What is he planning? This transaction made Giant Sun Immortal Venerable quite suspicious. But he knew that because of Dao marks, Gu Immortal found it hard to give birth. And in terms of having children, among the venerables, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was the most experienced. Among the venerables, which other person had more children than Giant Sun Immortal Venerable? Back then, to raise more children, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable searched the world for countless beauties, creating his 5 harem palaces. If Fang Yuan did not suddenly have this need, we would not have done this transaction. Sigh, to think that I would benefit now because of you, Zhu Zhu. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable muttered a name as the memories of a scene emerged in the depths of his heart. Northern Plains. In a temporary tribe, tents were set up. The flap of an old and tattered tent was pulled side as middle-aged Giant Sun barged in, shouting, Zhu Zhu, what Gu did you secretly use on me again? Middle-aged Giant Sun had a bare chest that exposed his manly stature, but there was a pig head resting on his shoulders. Zhu Zhu saw him and laughed, it worked. Middle-aged Giant Sun was furious. Zhu Zhu, I was discussing matters with the tribe elders earlier when this happened that you will turn me into the laughing stock of the tribe. Zhu Zhu sighed, husband, I apologize. But I just want a child. Middle-aged Giant Sun was stunned before becoming dejected, his anger faded away, it's my fault for being useless. No, it is my issue. Technically, I have half a Gu immortal's body. It is my fault. Zhu Zhu stood before Giant Sun as she held his pig head, saying with love and affection, this time, I use transformation path Gu. Do you know? This is called sowing pig. It is an amazing wild beast that has gone extinct. The male pig would eat in autumn and get fat to spit out a type of crystal flower. When spring arrives, the crystal flower will bloom and the female pig will eat it to nurture new life in its body. Middle-aged Giant Sun's eyes shone, it is so effective. Zhu Zhu smiled and pulled his hand, dragging him into bed, let's go. Middle-aged Giant Sun laughed loudly as he pounced at Zhu Zhu. At the top of their tent, there was a flag. At this moment, the flag started waving around intensely like the wind was blowing. But after just a few breaths of time, the flag went motionless. Within the tent, Giant Sun spoke in a guilty tone, sorry, Zhu Zhu, I can't continue anymore. Zhu Zhu smiled, don't worry, I have my methods. Next, Giant Sun let out a soft growl as the tent started to shake again like a hurricane was blowing. This time, he lasted for over 10 breaths of time. The commotion in the tent stopped again. Giant Sun sighed, sorry, I can't continue anymore. Zhu Zhu smiled and said, don't worry, watch this. For the third time, the tent shook intensely like there was a storm. But this storm only lasted for around 20 breaths of time before stopping. Giant Sun breathed roughly as he said, sorry, I really can't continue anymore. Zhu Zhu was still smiling, don't worry, I still have some methods left. Wait. Giant Sun said weakly, I am amazed that you have so many methods, but let me rest. Zhu Zhu replied humbly, although I have many methods, the results are not good. Sigh, the most useful method can only come from Renzu. All of the humans of the 5 regions and 2 heavens are descendants of Renzu. Giant Sun immediately patted his chest and assured, "Don't worry, one day, I will comprehend Renzu's method and we will have countless descendants." His recollection ended here. A deep feeling of disappointment lingered in Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's heart. In his previous life, he had already grasped such a method, otherwise, how could he have so many descendants? It was just that he could not use this method with Zhu Zhu anymore. He could never see her again. His children were also not of her bloodline. After collecting his thoughts, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's expression turned calm and cool again. Although he had been secretly making deductions on blood path, Fang Yuan's research results still saved him a lot of time and energy. Other than that, there were 5 blood path Immortal Gu. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable refined them into his own and tossed them into Blood Sea. Blood Sea, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's gaze pierced through the ground of longevity heaven, gazing into Blood Sea. Even if rank 9 Light Gu was repaired, it was not suitable for Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. However, although he had no rank 9 Immortal Gu, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable could use Blood Sea as a replacement temporarily. There were 4 different levels when it came to Dao mark density: Dao marks that were scattered all over the world, resource points that were created when Dao marks were arranged in a certain manner, the apex of resource points, secluded domains of heaven and earth, as well as the essence of heaven and earth, Gu. A secluded domain of heaven and earth was considered half a rank 9 Immortal Gu. When Gu immortals use immortal materials to form killer moves or immortal formations, the materials were consumable and could not have a stable form, thus, the Dao marks were lost after usage. But a secluded domain of heaven and earth could be used as a long-term stable core to form killer moves. Fang Yuan's Reverse Flow Protection Seal and Dang Hun Luo Pa Seal were such examples. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable has Mental Domain, while Fang Yuan may have Refinement Sea. This Blood Sea is the foundation that I need to resist them. Back then, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had worked with Long Hair Ancestor to refine Gu. He knew about this grand plan of Long Hair Ancestors. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable felt that for this period of time, refining natural Dao marks of heaven and earth was the most important thing. Trying to get a rank 9 Immortal Gu that was suitable for himself was not realistic. In this case, a secluded domain of heaven and earth was the best substitute. Among the Venerables, the one who has the highest hope of getting a rank 9 Immortal Gu is Fang Yuan. In terms of potential, he is also the highest. Thankfully, he has insufficient immortal essence and is unable to refine rank 9 Immortal Gu. Once he starts refining Gu, he will expose his greatest weakness. At that time, I will work with Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to stop him. If Fang Yuan is able to refine any refinement path rank 9 Immortal Gu, then he will have an easier time refining other rank 9 Immortal Gu in the future. This will snowball into an unstoppable advantage at an increasing speed. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable reminded himself of the fact. Blood Sea surged with huge waves that ebbed and flowed. It was gradually expanding in size. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable nodded to himself. With 5 more Blood Path Immortal Gu, the rate at which Blood Sea is forming is increasing. In half a year, it will be completed. Blood Sea was currently incomplete. Although a secluded domain of heaven and earth could be used as the core of a killer move, it was quite a wasteful thing to do as the secluded domain itself would be expended to a huge extent. For example, Fang Yuan's previously incomplete Refinement Sea and Human Sea, although Human Sea was complete, only the whole Human Mountain and Sea was considered a secluded domain. Oh. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's expression changed, an intense luck path intuition emerged in his heart. The last time he had such a feeling, he revived Light Emperor. The revival of Light Emperor caused him to gain rank 9 Light Gu. Now, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was feeling expectant. Although reviving another person now would expend the incomplete Blood Sea, he did not hesitate as he used the Immortal Killer move once again, Destined Birth through Luck. Swish swish swish. Swish swish swish. Blood sea surged and created a huge wave that was tens of feet tall. Blood sea was rapidly expended as a huge whirlpool was formed again. After the flickering of shadow and light, a rank 7 Gu immortal emerged from within. Who is this? Yao Huang did not recognize the person. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's expectations rose again. The reason was that this Gu immortal's revival expended even more immortal essence and portion of the blood sea than Light Emperor. But he was just a rank 7 water path Gu immortal. Oh, are you Fei Wu? Yao Huang stared for some time before shouting out loud. Fei tribe's final first supreme elder, Fei Wu, 1. Same pronunciation as trash/worthless. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable frowned. He remembered now. Fei tribe was once a super force in northern plains, it had genuine Huang gene bloodline. Fei tribe's first-generation ancestor was not Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's son but someone who was many generations below. But Fei tribe was still very famous in history. Or rather, infamous. Fei tribe was a Huang gene super tribe that ruined itself. Fei Wu was their final first supreme elder, he was undeniably responsible for their destruction. Many people felt that he was incapable and too greedy, he let down the entire Fei tribe and caused their destruction. When he was the first supreme elder, he expended Fei tribe's vast amount of resources and almost caused them to go broke. As a result, the other Fei tribe Gu immortals lacked cultivation resources and grew slowly, this resulted in their internal conflict. The external world also gave Fei tribe a lot of pressure. But Fei Wu did not handle this well, he had always shown a weak attitude to the outside world. In order to satisfy his own needs, Fei Wu even gave up many resource points that Fei tribe owned. The result was that his battle did not seem to rise. Fei Wu's performance disappointed everyone, in the end, he even led Fei tribe to excavate and develop in one of Northern Plains' 10 great fierce areas. In the end, he triggered a terrifying beast tide and caused Fei tribe's territory to be engulfed, even their headquarters was taken down. Most of their Gu immortals died in the beast tide, while the remaining ones were quickly annexed and taken in by the other Huang gene tribes. After the beast tide was over, Fei tribe was wiped out while Fei Wu died pitifully inside the fierce area. Their remaining territory was also taken by the various tribes. Fei tribe became a laughingstock and the prime negative example for people to learn from. How can such a useless person who harmed his entire tribe appear now? Yao Huang felt confused and suspicious. After realizing his revival, Fei Wu reacted and paid his respects to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable unfilial descendant, Fei Wu, greets Lord Ancestor. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had already used his luck inspection method to observe Fei Wu's foundation. He was shocked to find out that Fei Wu's luck was actually quite sizable, far surpassing most rank 7s while being lower than an average rank 8. More importantly, Fei Wu's luck had a close connection to a certain existence far away, this existence luck had an influence on Giant Sun Immortal Venerable himself. But Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was a rank 9 Venerable, to think that there was actually an entity whose luck could affect him so intensely. Soon, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's voice penetrated the ground and reached Blood Sea. The truth is often buried deep in history. Fei Wu, my descendant, tell me the truth. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2297, Unified Essence, Qi Zi. Chapter 2297, Unified Essence, Qi Zi. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's words made Fei Wu shook intensely as he showed an expression of gratitude. Ancestor is wise, the so-called Fei tribe's internal conflict was just our disguise to the outside world. The truth is, if not for that beast tide, how could our united Fei tribe be wiped out? Back then, I expended countless immortal material resources but I did not use up Fei tribe's foundation. Afterwards, when we developed in the fierce area, I even took away Qi Zi which was deep within it. However, legendary immemorial beast Qi Zi had already recovered to a great extent, it was not unconscious that we fell for its ploy and ended up being exterminated by the beast tide. But in the end, our Fei tribe did our best to retaliate. Qi Zi did not succeed after all. Its will was completely eradicated by us. It is a huge pity. If Xianxia did not ruin our plan, my Fey tribe would have dominated northern plains with an unceasing quantity of immortal essence stones that we will become the #1 Huangjin tribe and to a certain extent, rival Heavenly Court. After hearing this, Yao Huang stared with wide eyes as he asked consecutive questions. Xianxia. I assent that a legendary immemorial desolate beast which appeared in the earliest history of humanity, legend says that it was killed by primordial origin immortal venerable, how can it still be alive? An unceasing source of immortal essence stones, senior, did you unravel the mystery behind Heavenly Court's production of immortal essence stones? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was silent as he listened. If reviving Fei Wu would get him immortal essence stones, it was not significant enough. However, his luck inspection showed that Fei Wu was very useful to him. Within Blood Sea, Yao Huang was getting more excited. He clasped his fist with his palm and said, "Good, Senior Fei Wu has woken up right on time. As long as we have this way to produce immortal essence stones, we can raise our reputation and catch up to Heavenly Court. This is definitely a great chance now that Heavenly Court has stopped distributing immortal essence stones. Once we take over, it will cause everyone to have a deep impression of longevity heaven beyond Heavenly Court." The more Yao Huang spoke, the happier he got. Heavenly Court stopped distributing immortal essence stones, that's because they can't produce it anymore. Fei Wu was still kneeling on the ground, but he raised his upper body and said with a snicker, he was certain about the reason. "Oh, get up and talk, tell me about it clearly." Giant Sun Immortal Venerable descended upon Blood Sea, he arrived before Fei Wu. "Yes." Fei Wu bowed deeply again before getting up. "I will explain from the start." Fei Wu explained slowly, everyone knows that in this world, primeval energy is infinite, spirit springs produce primeval stones, but nobody has never found an immortal spring that can produce immortal essence stones. Wild Gu, be it mortal or immortal, can absorb primeval energy to activate their abilities. But once they are refined, the Gu worm will be someone's possession, they will lose the ability to use primeval energy. They will only be able to use primeval essence or immortal essence. This primeval essence and immortal essence includes both the owner and others. If a Gu worm is lent out, the Gu worm can still use others' primeval essence or immortal essence. For example, an immortal Gu house can use the stored immortal essence of Gu immortals inside. What is the root cause of all these? According to my research, the reason is that be it primeval essence or immortal essence, both contain our human will. Wild Gu contain heaven's will, they are a product of heaven and earth, thus, we say that Gu is the essence of heaven and earth. Once we refine Gu worms, the heaven's will inside will be purged, replaced by our human will. As a result, the Gu worm becomes privately owned and the human will does not get acknowledged by the heaven's will of the outside world. Thus, the Gu can no longer absorb external primeval energy. If lent to others, the human will inside the Gu worm will acknowledge others so they can use their own primeval essence or immortal essence to activate it. Different immortal essence contain different human, thus, they can cancel each other out. This is why many rank 6 Gu immortals fail to succeed when they invade blessed lands that are already owned. Yao Huang was confused. What does this have to do with immortal essence stone production? Don't be anxious, listen to what I am saying, it will make sense soon. Fei Wu waved his hand and smiled. Our aperture produces primeval essence while our immortal aperture produces immortal essence, they all contain our human will. Then, do primeval stones and immortal essence stones not have a will in them? They do. The primeval stones that spirit springs produce are essentially reinforced primeval essence that contains heaven's will. It is just that the primeval stones contain too little heaven's will, it is common to ignore it. However, the heaven's will often sneaks into our minds while we absorb primeval stones to influence our thoughts. This is one way that heaven's will use to control us. It is a pity that most Gu cultivators in the world are attracted to the effect of restoring primeval essence through primeval stones, they do not notice this issue. Even if they do, they don't care about it. Heaven's will is just like air, it is everywhere, so it is quite normal to have some in primeval stones. The immortal essence stones that Heavenly Court gives out are the same as primeval stones in that they also contain heaven's will. Why does Heavenly Court give out rank 6 immortal essence stones? It is actually a huge scheme by Heavenly Court. During primordial origin immortal venerables era, Heavenly Court purposely gave out immortal essence stones. These immortal essence stones reached the hands of the variant human Gu immortals and were used by them. This allowed heaven's will to infiltrate them. Back then, heavens will sided with humanity, which would rise to take the position of the variant humans. By star constellation Immortal Venerable's era, she became one with the Tao and gained the ability to distort heaven's will, greatly influencing it. The distribution of immortal essence stones became even more widespread. When Gu immortals use these immortal essence stones, they will be infiltrated by heaven's will, allowing heavenly court to influence and control them. Yao Huang heard his words as his mouth opened slightly. So that's it. Can we copy heavenly court to distribute immortal essence stones and achieve the same effect for our longevity heaven? Fei Wu shook his head. Unless we can assimilate with the Tao-like star constellation Immortal Venerable to alter heaven's will. Yao Huang was anxious now. Even if we can't achieve the same effect, as long as we have an unceasing supply of immortal essence stones, we can still use it to longevity heaven's benefit. Senior Fei, how can we produce immortal essence stones? Fei Wu waved his hand again. No rush, listen to my story. When we produce primeval essence, our human will and aperture are needed. When we produce immortal essence, our human will and immortal aperture are needed. To produce primeval stones, we need heaven's will and spirit springs. What about immortal essence stones? Yao Huang blinked. Do we also need heaven's will and immortal apertures or immortal springs to create immortal essence stones? Fei Wu shook his head. Many rank 8 Gu immortals who are not confident of passing a tribulation will annex an immemorial 9 heavens fragment. From then on, the immortal aperture will turn into a grotto heaven. It will be located at one place while the rank 8 Gu immortal will be like a caged bird unable to leave the immortal aperture again. These grotto heavens contain heaven's will. There is also an immortal aperture, so why can't immortal essence stones be produced? As for heaven's will and immortal springs, this is something that people have been speculating about Heavenly Court. They think that Heavenly Court obtained the only immortal spring in the world. But the truth is, this is not true. There is no such thing as an immortal spring in the world. Yao Huang sighed. Senior Fei, stop beating about the bush. Even Giant Sun Immortal Venerable commented, tell us directly. Fei Wu did not dare to defy Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. He sighed regrettably and said, then I'll cut to the chase. According to my research, the essence of a spirit spring is just an ordinary heaven path resource point. Within it, there are heaven path, water path, and earth path Tao marks. Because of the heaven's will, the spring water can produce solid primeval stones. The heavenly Tao seeks balance of the myriad beings. It will not produce a resource like immortal essence stones naturally. Immortal essence is the most fundamental resource. Without it, no immortal Gu can be used by people. Meanwhile, the widespread distribution of immortal essence stones has greatly raised the chances of surviving calamities and tribulations. This can only be caused by people. However, the process cannot avoid heaven's will. Only through the injecting of heaven's will can there be immortal essence stones produced. This is an impossible loop. Fei Wu accurately pointed out that heaven's will was the most crucial element in producing immortal essence stones. But it was impossible to make heaven's will do this voluntarily as it violated the rules of the heavenly Tao. But nothing was absolute. In history, Heavenly Court succeeded. During primordial origin Immortal Venerable's era, he used the special trait of Xianxia to produce immortal essence stones. During star constellation Immortal Venerable's era, Xianxia suicided, but she assimilated with the Tao and altered heaven's will, allowing it to work with Heavenly Court to produce immortal essence stones. So, what is the special trait of Xianxia? Since it suicided, how did it revive? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable asked the most important question. Fei Wu immediately answered, Xianxia is not its full name, its actual name is Unified Essence Xianxia. It is a very special legendary immemorial desolate beast, somewhat similar to Di Zongxing, which appeared later in the future. When a Gu master undergoes immortal ascension, there is a crucial step to draw in heaven and earth qi to mix with one's human qi and balance all three. If the balancing of 3 qi succeeds, the qi lump will condense and become smaller until it reaches the limit. This qi lump is known as the qi of unified essence. This is the root cause of the creation of unified essence Xianxia. As long as there are Gu masters undergoing immortal ascension in the world, they will produce the qi of unified essence. Even if it is destroyed, it can be reborn. Initially, during the immemorial era, it was granted intelligence by a beastman great expert. Thus, it gained an immortal aperture and rose in strength, becoming a legendary immemorial beast. When Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable challenged the various variant human races, Xianxia fought against the Immortal Venerable and lost, getting captured. But to the outside world, Primordial Origin declared that it was killed. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable held Xianxia captive and used it to produce Immortal Essence Stones. Xianxia lost its freedom, unwilling to give in. It tried all ways to escape. No matter what it tried to do, Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable still foiled its plans. After him, Star Constellation took over. She was even more skilled at planning and was extremely perceptive. Xianxia had no choice but to suicide out of despair. This is the reason why he suicided in Heavenly Court. Yao Huang did not understand it. So how are they still producing Immortal Essence Stones? Brilliance shone in Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's eyes, he muttered, so that's it. At this moment, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable finally understood why Destined Birth through luck revived Fei Wu. This was because his revival would give Giant Sun Immortal Venerable a way to replenish his immortal essence. This was more useful and beneficial to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable than Rank 9 Light Gu. But luck path itself was an uncertainty. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable could ensure that positive variables happened to benefit him, but he could not control the exact situation as that would involve controlling certainty. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2298, Yin Yang Path, Multiple Pregnancy Gu. Chapter 2298, Yin Yang Path, Multiple Pregnancy Gu. Fei Wu saw Yao Huang's expression of confusion and laughed. He explained happily, when a Gu master undergoes immortal ascension, they will have a fortuitous encounter known as natural inspiration. What is the cause of it? Heaven and earth chi contain heaven's will while human chi contains human will. At this crucial moment, the three chi fuse together, meaning heaven's will and human will congregate, allowing the person to ask heaven and earth for answers regarding the profundities and truths of the world. This is because heavens will acknowledge the human will. Why? From what I see, once an aperture undergoes qualitative change, it will become an immortal aperture. This is an achievement that grants benefit to the world. The heavenly Tao wants to see this happen, thus it rewards the human will. The specialty of unified essence Xianxia lies here. Its body is made of the chi of unified essence, which is the fusion of three chi, thus it is able to receive the acknowledgement and reward of heaven's will at all times. Yao Huang stared with wide eyes. That means it is able to undergo natural inspiration at all times. Fei Wu shook his head. Strictly speaking, yes, but the truth is different. That we all know that the three chi create the unified essence. It needs to be balanced carefully. If the lump of three chi loses balance, the Gu cultivator will die. This is not true for Xianxia. Failure to balance the three chi will not cause it to be in fatal danger. Instead, it will lose its rationality. Continuously controlling and balancing the three chi is too difficult. We have all undergone immortal ascension. It is already too tough for us to sustain the state of balancing the three chi for half a day. But unified essence Xianxia has to undergo it at all times. Thus, after it expends all its effort or gets sick of balancing the three chi, its body will lose control of the three chi. This causes heaven's will and the human will to intertwine and result in chaos, causing it to lose its rationality. In this condition, it cannot even think normally. How can it make use of the natural inspiration? Regardless, as long as the chi of unified essence exists, heavens will still favors the human will. It will be willing to help. If this is an ordinary Gu master who has not created the immortal aperture yet, they will only be able to interact with heaven's will and undergo natural inspiration. But Xianxia is different. It has an immortal aperture already. Thus, when it is sane and clear-headed, its immortal aperture will produce immortal essence. When it is irrational and insane, its immortal aperture will produce immortal essence stones that contain heaven's will. Yao Huang finally understood everything. Unified essence Xianxia was too special. Because of its unique physique, Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable gained immortal essence stones. But he only distributed rank 6 immortal essence stones. After unified essence Xianxia died, Star Constellation assimilated with the Tao. Although she could control heaven's will to some extent, there was a limit to it. Thus, from then on, Heavenly Court could only produce rank 6 immortal essence stones. Fei Wu continued, back then, I accidentally found unified essence Xianxia in the fierce area. It was in a state of insanity, buried deep underground and unable to move that I spoke with it but it could not respond clearly. Its answer was jumbled but it cursed heavenly court's two venerables with deep hatred. After some time, I pieced together the story and deduced many truths behind the situation. I mobilized the entire Fey tribe and wanted to obtain unified essence Xianxia. That I expended immortal materials and modified killer moves to try and manipulate it. After completing my preparations, I went into the fierce area and execute my plan. But to think that unified essence Xianxia actually had its sanity. At that time, I could not back out anymore. I had to continue my plan forcefully. Fey tribe was wiped out while unified essence Xianxia was also sealed by our Fey tribe's method. Without any accidents, it should still be trapped at the original spot. Ancestor, you only need to go retrieve it. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable nodded. He brought Fei Wu to the Jade Ring fierce area. Northern Plains had 10 great fierce areas. Within them were countless desolate beast groups. Immemorial desolate beast and plants were also not rare. Super forces had the ability to develop in them, but if a mistake happened, they would trigger a huge beast tide. Fey tribe's failure was one of the examples. Jade Ring fierce area had more than 10 different rings of huge ancient trees. As one entered deeper into each ring, they would face more danger and threat. Unified essence Xianxia was hidden in the 6th ring. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable personally took action. He quickly arrived at it. Fei Wu had just revived and had no goo worms, but he was only giving directions. Towards his ancestor, he did not hide anything but only said the truth. After Giant Sun Immortal Venerable made his deductions, he used a newly modified Luck Path Killer move. It triggered the arrangements of Fey tribe. After doing that, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable extracted a huge black pearl from deep underground. The black pearl was large as an elephant. It had a smooth surface and a deeply hidden aura. This is the result that our Fey tribe created. Even a legendary immemorial beast was sealed by us. Fei Wu looked at Xianxia as he sighed with deep emotions. He had grand ambitions that ended in failure and the entire Fey tribe was wiped out. But thankfully, he was able to revive and use the arrangements they made to help their ancestor. This was all worth it. After inspecting for some time, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable saw through the information of Xianxia using the intel from Fei Wu. Unified essence Xianxia was a lump of the chi of unified essence. When it was sane, it would be in human form. The appearance would be hard to differentiate from actual people. When it stops balancing the 3 chi and they go into chaos, it would turn into a lump of the chi of unified essence. If there was more heaven chi, it would float higher. If there was more earth chi, it would sink into the ground. When Fey tribe fought against it, it had not regained its sanity fully, thus, it could not use its full strength. Fei Wu and the rest made ample preparations. They deduced a killer move that countered unified essence Xianxia, eventually sealing it here. Although Fei Wu was only rank 7, Fei tribe had many rank 8s in the past. They also had immortal Gu houses that were the foundation of a super force. Most importantly, unified essence Xianxia was not sane, so its strength could not be used properly. Without rationality, even spectral soul demon Venerable could not take down Fairy Ziwei and Ing Wuxie. A long time had passed. By now, Fei tribe's killer move was already greatly weakened. The sealing effect had reached its limit. But even if Xianxia regained freely, in its current condition, it would remain on the spot without regaining its senses. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable looked through the chi of unified essence and inspected that deep within its immortal aperture, there were many rank 8 immortal essence stones. The production of immortal essence was as natural as breathing to the immortal aperture origin core, with heavens will suppressing the human will the entire time. Legendary immemorial beast Xianxia's immortal aperture had a large number of rank 8 immortal essence stones. Rank 6 Immortal Essence Stones had little significance to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, but Rank 8 Immortal Essence Stones were different. While happy, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable also found a problem. There was a lot of heavens will inside these Rank 8 Immortal Essence Stones. If he wanted to absorb them, he would need to get rid of the heavens will. It was troublesome. If he handled it poorly, it would affect the conversion rate of the Immortal Essence Stones. For example, one rank 8 immortal essence stone might only be able to produce half a bead of rank 8 immortal essence after getting rid of the heavens will. Rank 6 immortal essence stones had no such problem because the heavens will inside was too little. After considering it for a while, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable thought, back then, Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable made use of Xianxia. He also had rank 8 immortal essence stones but only distributed the rank 6 version. He was not likely trying not to alert the variant human Gu immortals. By Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's era, Xianxia suicided and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable altered heavens will. By fusing it with Heavenly Court's origin core, they could only produce rank 6 immortal essence stones. However, where did the storage of rank 8 immortal essence stones go? Are they used up or hidden somewhere? If they are hidden, why did I not find them when I attacked Heavenly Court? Did Spectral Soul Demon Venerable obtain them after ransacking Heavenly Court's treasury? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable shook his head. Afterwards, Spectral Soul Demon Venerable was captured by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable Maid turned into her puppet. If he had obtained those valuable rank 8 immortal essence stones, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would have retrieved them. But the situation was clear, she had always been lacking immortal essence the entire time. No, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable cultivates wisdom path, what if she is hiding it the entire time? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable frowned, his expression turned slightly solemn. If she has an abundant supply of immortal essence, why does she still lack it? In what area did she use the essence? Ever since Star Constellation Immortal Venerable refined Heavenly Court's wisdom path Tao marks, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had not inspected her situation anymore. As for Fang Yuan, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable could inspect him easily each time. If that is the situation, then Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, how much are you hiding, how deep are your secrets? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable looked in the direction of Central Continent. Eastern Sea. Any venerable has talent that is unimaginable to the average genius. Fang Yuan had already comprehended the information that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable handed to him in their transaction. He obtained what he wanted. Fang Yuan had already refined rank 5 Blood Skull Gu. Earlier, he was only using rank 4 Blood Skull Gu, but Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had a newly developed rank 5 version. Although it was a mortal Gu recipe, it had developed beyond the original limit of the world. This showed Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's immense talent. Rank 5 Blood Skull Gu only needed to extract a certain amount of bloodline from the target's kin, there was no need to slaughter the entire clan. There was also a method to produce twins. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had no choice but to hand over the research results of Yin Yang path that he was secretly looking into. Back then, in 88 True Yang building, there was the inheritance of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable regarding Yin Yang path that the content was a method. To use it, a male and female Gu immortal had to cooperate, using copulation to extend the lifespan of one of them. But there was a flaw in this. If one gains lifespan, the other must lose lifespan. In other words, it was to transfer the lifespan of one person to the other. Right now, the Yin Yang path research result that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable handed to Fang Yuan was much more complete and comprehensive than the one hidden in 88 True Yang building. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had grand ambitions in creating this path, he wanted to use Yin Yang to describe all beings in the world. This was the same as Feng Jiu Gu's desire to use sound path to express all life in this world. But as Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's strength and knowledge increased, he recognized that his former ideology of Yin Yang was very shallow, he eventually gave up on creating it. Although there were some research results in Yin Yang path, it could not achieve a qualitative change to become a brand new path. At most, it could be used with other paths to occasionally create some unorthodox small gains. Yin Yang life extension method was one of such results. Another of such small gains were abortion Gu, safe pregnancy Gu, multiple pregnancy Gu, become pregnant Gu, reincarnation Gu, dead fetus Gu, and others. Multiple pregnancy Gu was what Fang Yuan wanted. Rank 1 could be used to produce one child, rank 2 produced twins. Rank 3 produced triplets, rank 4 produced quadruplets, and rank 5 produced quintuplets. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2299, Floating Refinement Hive. Chapter 2299, Floating Refinement Hive. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. So, can you tell me anything about my father? Guyue Fangxiang looked at the hairy man Gu Immortal in front of him. Beside him, there was a female immortal. The hairy man Gu Immortal 12th hair took a look at the female immortal before casting his gaze at Guyue Fangxiang. This female immortal was mermaid Lien Kuexian. It turned out that after Guyue Fangxiang passed the tribulation to become a Gu Immortal and returned to the hairy man continent, he saw his mother, Steel Thread City Lord, who was in an unconscious state. Lien Kuexian had been helping him with his tribulation. She explained the truth of this world to him. Guyue Fangxiang realized that to save his mother, he needed to make sufficient contributions to the great love immortal venerable of this world. In that case, he could use contribution points that he earned to issue a mission for those healing Gu Immortals to heal his mother. Moreover, Lien Kuexian told Fangxiang that this hairy man continent was governed by a hairy man Gu Immortal. If he wanted to find his father, he could go and ask him. Under Lien Kuexian's lead, Guyue Fangxiang met 12th hair for the first time. He asked about the information regarding his father. 12th hair nodded. I do know something about your father. But that is from long ago. If you want to know, help me with something. Guyue Fangxiang was a little hesitant. He did not agree immediately. Lien Kuexian saw this and immediately said, Friend 12th hair, Fangxiang has just become an immortal. If you want to request a difficult task, we will have to decline. Guyue Fangxiang casted a grateful gaze at Lien Kuexian. 12th hair laughed loudly. Friend Fangxiang has half of our hairy man bloodline. Why will I bully him? Don't worry, this matter involves the arrangement of floating refinement hive. Oh, you have already refined this hive? Lien Kuexian was really surprised. 12th hair answered, with the method that our master created personally, we hairy man Gu Immortals only had to follow the instructions to achieve success. Next 12th hair looked at Fangxiang. Floating refinement hive has already been created. You only need to place it inside refinement seed. This is much easier than creating it. If you can complete the mission, I will tell you things about your father. Guyue Fangxiang could not decide. He looked towards Lien Kuexian subconsciously. Lien Kuexian smiled at him and nodded. Alright, I'll do it. Guyue Fangxiang immediately decided. Thus, 12th hair transferred the floating refinement hive into Guyue Fangxiang's immortal aperture. Guyue Fangxiang saw the floating refinement hive for the first time. This structure was quite peculiar. It was large as a mountain but had the appearance and structure of a beehive. There were many small spaces of various sizes inside. Floating refinement hive had a narrow top and a broad bottom, which was the base of the hive. It could float on the sea and resist huge waves with great stability. This is amazing. Fangxiang used investigative methods and observed. His eyes stared wide in amazement. 12th hair laughed and said in a proud tone, This is invented by our master. Of course it is amazing. Each floating refinement hive can be considered an incomplete secluded domain of heaven and earth. It contains countless refinement path Dao marks. If one refined Gu inside, not only will the success rate be much higher, they can even save on the cost of Gu refinement. Floating refinement hive can not only accommodate countless refinement path Gu masters, it can also hold 10 refinement path Gu immortals at most. With refinement path Gu immortals stationed here, the hive can continuously produce immortal Gu. Each floating refinement hive can be seen as a refinement path super resource point. Alright, there is no time, get going now. Fangxiang nodded and immediately set off to refinement C with Lien Kuexian. Refinement Sea was at the center of mini Eastern Sea. It was not large compared to the other sea areas, but it had extraordinary value. This is a genuine secluded domain of heaven and earth. After hearing Lien Kuexian's explanation, Fang Yuan understood the value of Refinement Sea. Master is really amazing. His methods are unfathomable. Like true immortal deities, he can even create his own secluded domain of heaven and earth. Fangxiang praised continuously. The current refinement sea had already been completed by Fang Yuan. It was a genuine secluded domain of heaven and earth. Back then, Lang Yalan's spirit used calamities and tribulations to collect water path Dao marks and painstakingly built the incomplete refinement C. After Fang Yuan obtained it, his speed of building it was many times faster. Firstly, Fang Yuan was a venerable, he was even stronger than long-hair ancestor, not to mention Lang Yalan's spirit. Secondly, Fang Yuan was a supreme grandmaster in refinement path. The current supreme grandmaster was far superior to the supreme grandmaster of the past. Thirdly, Fang Yuan had sovereign immortal body with non-conflicting Dao marks. He could use methods of any path that he directly used water path methods that were far more efficient than Lang Yalan's spirit's idea. Fang Xiang soon found his destination, but there was a need to create an immortal formation here. The content was much more difficult than he imagined. That was because there was more than one floating refinement hive. In the current refinement C, there were many other hives. Arranging the floating refinement hive was not as simple as dumping it here. It needed a stable location to form a certain connection with the surrounding floating refinement hives. After the floating refinement hives reached a certain number, the immortal formation would activate and cause all the hives to float around with the waves of refinement C. They were like inked pens that drew a painting on this refinement C as the canvas. Refinement C helped the refinement hives to refine Gu while the refinement hives replenished the refinement C after it was expended greatly. This was a grand system that was established. Under Lian Xian's guidance and cooperation, Fang Xiang started arranging the immortal formation. 3 days later, they only completed 10% of it. This will not do, it is too slow. Lian Xian immediately decided as she used some contribution points to post a mission to recruit helpers. Not long after, a Gu Immortal came. I am a newly advanced formation path Gu Immortal Ni Lao Shi. This Ni clan Gu Immortal was a purebred human. He accepted Lian Xian's mission. With his help, there was rapid progress. 3 days passed, the arrangement of refinement hive was finally completed. Fang Xiang and Ni Lao Shi left with lingering reluctance. They became good friends after 3 days. Ni Lao had spent his entire life on the Hairy Man continent. He rarely interacted. Ni Lao Shi was honest and loyal. It was natural that they became good friends. Fang Xiang's perspective of the humans improved again. After completing 12th Hair's mission, he returned to the Hairy Man continent and asked about his father. As for Ni Lao Shi, he took a sum of contribution points from Lian Xian and immediately went back to his clan. After returning to Ni clan's territory, he was welcomed by the entire clan's cheers. Ni clan was originally situated in southern border. It was moved into the sovereign immortal aperture by Fang Yuan to research the human path Gu refinement method. Right now, Fang Yuan became a refinement path venerable. Ni clan lost its value but still remained in the sovereign immortal aperture to develop. Ni clan had several Gu immortal seeds, but the least outstanding Ni Lao Shi actually succeeded in the immortal ascension. With a Gu immortal, Ni clan became a super force. Ni Lao Shi assembled the higher-ups of Ni Lao Shi assembled the higher-ups of Ni clan and expressed his thoughts to them. One of Master's clones has some gains from researching Dream Path. He is able to create a Dream Path formation to raise the aptitude of an entire clan that I already have sufficient contribution points. I'll bring you to the formation now, what do you think? Seeing that Ni Lao Shi had become an immortal but did not forget his roots, the higher-ups were very moved that he still cared about their development. They nodded their heads in agreement. Ni Lao Shi placed the clansman into his immortal aperture as he set off to find Meng Qiuzhen. After Ni Lao Shi paid his respects and stated his intention, Meng Qiuzhen brought him to a dream path formation. Ni Lao Shi paid the necessary contribution points as Meng Qiuzhen activated the formation. The former opened his immortal aperture door and let out his clansmen who walked into the dream path formation. Will there be any issues? Ni Lao Shi stared with a fixed gaze until the final Ni clansman walked into the formation. He had an expression of worry as he said that, especially when his parents were among them. Meng Qiuzhen smiled lightly as he shook his head. How can that be? don't worry. Saying so, he activated the formation. At the next moment, all the Ni clansmen who entered the formation fell onto the ground as some started snoring. They had all fallen asleep. However, there was a chain of explosions that soon followed. After completing everything, Human C, who was deep within the formation, also activated. Thus, the self-detonated Ni clansmen were revived, but they remained asleep. How many clans have already come to this place? Ni Lao Shi asked. There were 4, you are the 5th clan. Meng Qiuzhen said, don't worry, this formation is very safe. At the same time, the Ni clansmen started the second round of self-detonation, but this time, the final survivor was switched to another person. Like this, they were revived and slaughtered continuously until all the Ni clan members' aptitude rose. Meng Qiuzhen stopped the formation and woke them up. Immediately, waves of astonishment hit the Ni clansmen as they cheered and shouted with loud voices. Amazing, my aptitude improved. What method is this? It is so strong, so strong. Ni Lao Shi is a really good child, he did not forget us even after immortal ascension, he repaid us fully. Ni Lao Shi inspected everyone, almost all of them had a great aptitude. This is truly a miracle that I guess only someone like Master can perform such legendary acts. Ni Lao Shi was very shocked, his admiration towards Fang Yuan grew deeper. But he did not know the truth. Dream path formation, no, this was clearly a blood path formation. But dream path was a great cover that could convince many Gu immortals. After all, they had all fallen asleep, it was quite similar to dream path methods, so this seemed quite normal on the surface. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2300, Born with a Rank 5 Gu. Chapter 2300, Born with a Rank 5 Gu. Fang Yuan's divine sense spread rapidly in the sovereign immortal aperture. Maybe I should build some small wisdom path formations so my divine sense can spread here more easily. Fang Yuan thought. His divine sense was moving at a rapid speed, but the sovereign immortal aperture was just too big. It was too troublesome for Fang Yuan to look into his immortal aperture closely each time he entered. Ordinary Gu immortals had no such issue. Although their immortal aperture was called a small world, it could not compare to Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. Not long after, Fang Yuan's divine sense reached the destination. Mini Western Desert, Inkman City. There was a family at an unassuming corner of the city. The man of the family was a young Inkman Gu master, he had limited aptitude and only had rank 2 cultivation. Currently, he had a nervous expression as he paced outside the room. Wah! The crying of a baby could be heard coming from within the room. The man immediately showed an expression of joy. He rushed into the room and saw his wife and the female doctor who he had hired at a high price. The female doctor was hiding a male Inkman baby. He was very small and ugly but was healthy. Everything is normal, except, the female doctor smiled at the man and directed her gaze to the baby's arm. In his hands, there were a pair of Gu worms. They were bone-flesh unity Gu. The female doctor had an expression of shock, because she was the doctor here, she saw that this pair of Gu worms were born alongside the baby. If I had not been here the entire time, I would not have believed this. Is this the effect of the pregnancy temple? The female doctor asked the male Inkman. The male Inkman saw this immediately. His eyes turned red after seeing the Gu worms. With his strength and wealth, he would need to expend a vast amount of time and effort to get such Gu worms. But now, this pair of rare Gu worms was born alongside his son. This was such a huge surprise. The male Inkman nodded, he said chokingly, yes, after the pregnancy temple was built, my wife and I went to give it a try. To think that it really worked. The female doctor sighed and said, "You must not be the only one. This pregnancy temple really works as they said. It can help you to rapidly have children, and if lucky, they will be born with goo worms." The male Inkman wanted to speak but hesitated. The female doctor casted him a gaze of suspicion. On the bed, the weak female Inkman spoke now. She wanted the doctor to test their bloodline. The female doctor was stunned. She realized that they were worried this baby was not their own. Immediately after, the test was completed. It was a joyful ending. "This is my son, I finally have a son. Oh goodness, I finally have a son." The male Inkman had no hesitation anymore. He held the baby and cried tears of joy. Fang Yuan's divine sense observed the scene and left quietly. This pregnancy temple was his arrangement. There were many of such mortal goo houses. After Fang Yuan built them, he placed them all over the sovereign immortal aperture for the people to use. Pregnancy temple was a human path. Pregnancy temple was a human path immortal goo house. The core human path goo worms it used included become pregnant goo, triplet goo, dead fetus goo, multiple pregnancy goo, and safe pregnancy goo. It even used a large number of time path and refinement path goo worms. The actual effect of pregnancy temple was to extract the yin-yang qi of the male and female to activate become pregnant goo and make the female pregnant. After that, it would use triplet goo to turn the fetus into triplets. After that, 2 of the fetuses would be used as goo materials after dead fetus goo activated, while the final one would be protected by safe pregnancy goo. The 2 dead fetuses would be refined as bone-flesh unity goo, born together with the final fetus. The entire process of the pregnancy to childbirth would not take more than 7 days. This was the effect of time path goo worms. In that case, the sovereign immortal aperture's population would rise rapidly. Once the population went up, more clans would be created, and under the effect of the dream path method, their aptitudes would rise together and produce more goo immortal seeds. Throughout the process, the citizens of the sovereign immortal aperture would feel more admiration and love towards their great leader Fang Yuan. They would feel indebted to him. It was clear that they would become increasingly loyal to him. The bone-flesh unity goo that comes with the baby act as the vital goo and is refined naturally. Once these babies are born, they will have a rank 5 vital goo. After bone-flesh unity goo reaches a certain level, they will switch to other goo worms. In that case, the growth of these babies will be accelerated. Fang Yuan planned inwardly. It was not hard for the current him to achieve this, it was completely a breeze. He used the human body goo refinement method, which was one of the peak profundities of refinement path, originating from Ni clan. When Ni clan's bloodline reach a certain density, the current generation Ni Xiang would be born with an immortal goo appearing in their body. Fang Yuan was only producing mortal goo now. When Giant Sun Immortal Venerable created yin-yang path, the essence was in goo worms like abortion goo, safe pregnancy goo, and multiple pregnancy goo. All the past venerables have comprehended some human path killer moves from the legends of Renzu, but these methods are too profound and not suited for the masses. Thus, Heavenly Court arranged for Divine Emperor City to develop the foundation of human path. The truth is, there is a very special man among the venerables. He had actually created many foundational mortal goo of human path, but had always kept them to himself and did not popularize them. The prospect and development of human path is truly great. Fang Yuan sighed. Higher level human path killer moves were able to easily turn the situation of the fate war around, while lower level methods had incredible use. Fang Yuan was certain that human path was not inferior to heaven path. Most importantly, human path had not developed yet. Human path is suppressed by the heavenly Tao. Just these human path mortal goo that are created by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable have such a terrifying effect that how can the heavenly Tao that emphasizes balance allow such a qualitative change in the growth of humanity? Fang Yuan was increasingly understanding why Heavenly Court was focusing on developing human path. Heavenly Court had always been tampering with heavens while using fate goo as their pillar. After Fate Gu was destroyed, Heavenly Court became the #1 super force that Heavens will dislike. Being unable to use Heaven's will, Heavenly Court decided to develop Human Path instead. But why would Star Constellation Immortal Venerable not know about the weakness of the derivation formation? Fong Yuan had a deep and eerie gaze. Derivation formation was situated in Heavenly Court, any research results that it produced would be known by Heaven's will. This meant that as those Gu cultivators who entered the derivation formation grew, the Heavenly Dao also grew together with them. But even if the Heavenly Dao gained from this, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable still had benefits to gain from using the derivation formation. She could develop herself to surpass the other Venerables. It was possible that in her plan, she would first eliminate the other Venerables and make Heavenly Court the dominating force before dealing with Heaven's will. Thus, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable has not entered the derivation formation herself, or is she waiting for a chance? Fong Yuan guessed to himself. At least, Fong Yuan knew that Crazed Demon Cave was the most suitable place to put the derivation formation. The first 7 layers of Crazed Demon Cave could not isolate Heaven's will, but the 8th and 9th layers were safe. Other than that, Fong Yuan could not see any other possibilities. It would not work if one placed the derivation formation into a venerable aperture. Because the wild derivation Gu was rank 9, it contained too much Heaven's will. If placed into the Venerable's immortal aperture, the Heaven's will within would connect with the Heaven's will of the 5 regions, allowing the Venerable to be detected by Heaven's will. Fong Yuan had once suffered a loss from this. Limitless Demon Venerable created the Crazed Demon formation, but Star Constellation Immortal Venerable must have been a part of it. After all, the formation needs Wisdom Path as help. This is also why Star Constellation Immortal Venerable held the initiative in Crazed Demon Cave. After returning to Heavenly Court, she easily created the derivation formation. But Crazed Demon Cave itself must have been made by Limitless Demon Venerable alone. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable does not know of its profundity, otherwise, it will be the first thing she constructs. Fong Yuan's divine sense continued to search. There were many families in Inkman City that had given birth to children. The situation was quite successful, each newborn had a Bone-Flesh Unity Gu as their vital Gu. Come to speak of it, Bone-Flesh Unity Gu's recipe was modified by Fong Yuan. Rank 8 Wisdom Gu was of some help to Fong Yuan. During this period of time, he easily raised Wisdom Gu to rank 8. In addition, Refinement C and Human C were completed. It was just that Human C lacked Human Mountain, it was not a complete secluded domain now and could still be expended. The cost of reviving mortals was much cheaper than Gu Immortals, it could last for a very long time. Other than Human C and Refinement C, Fong Yuan had also collected many fragments of the Qian Kun crystal wall. Most of the Qian Kun crystal wall fragments scattered in Eastern Sea, Southern Border, and Western Desert were currently in Fong Yuan's hands. As for the other 2 regions, because of the existence of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Fong Yuan did not ask about them when he used Stealing Heavenly Secret. The complete Qian Kun crystal wall was even stronger than Stealing Heavenly Secret, it contained the information of all situations that happened in the world. If Stealing Heavenly Secret was said to be a ladle that was drawing water from the vat, then the Qian Kun crystal wall was the vat itself. According to Fong Yuan's understanding, after using Stealing Heavenly Secret, the complete Qian Kun crystal wall could create primordial domain. Moving his divine sense, Fong Yuan left Inkman City and came to Mini Eastern Sea to inspect the floating refinement hives. These floating refinement hives were arranged appropriately, there were no issues. They were originally derived from the Fong Yuan stone nest. Back then, Fong Yuan had the concept of a production line, he created these stone nests and arranged for many hairy man Gu masters to refine Gu. Right now, each of the floating refinement hives were an incomplete secluded domain of heaven and earth, they were far superior to the Fong Yuan stone nest back then. There were already many hairy man Gu masters in some of the floating refinement hives. The first batch of Gu worms to refine were Relic Gu and Connecting Heaven Gu. After Fong Yuan's divine sense looked around for a while, he left again. After a while, under the control of his divine sense, countless Gu worms expended his rich reserves of rank 9 immortal essence to activate an immortal killer move, Endless Trouble. The core immortal Gu of this move was rank 8 after, it could delay the current calamity or tribulation to the next time, and face them together. Fang Yuan had already modified this killer move and used it many times. He adjusted the sovereign immortal aperture's time flow to make it much faster. This caused calamities and tribulations to occur more frequently, but each time, Fang Yuan used Endless Trouble killer move to delay them to the next tribulation. Such an action infuriated heavens will, when the actual tribulation occurs, it would be extremely strong. For this was a flaw that Fang Yuan could benefit from. Even if the tribulations erupted with the anger of heaven's will and became more powerful, Fang Yuan was confident of passing them and getting a large number of Dao marks. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.